On your passport it says what? What nationality?
Well, it says American if I have any religion on it, but I think the question you're asking is about Judaism.
Are you a Jew because you have a particular faith, and can you be a lapsed Jew?
Oh, you can be a lapsed Jew, but never an ex-Jew, according to the tradition.
Oh, I see.
I think the point about being a Jew, or what is a Jew, is the question usually is asked, is... Yeah, well, you know the story of the Jew who's asked, why do Jews always answer a question with a question? He says, why not?
My being a Jew. Well, there's that we are a nation, a people, with a tradition of 5,000 years of history, with belief in one supreme God, with no extras and no triumvirates added to it, that there is only one God, and we as a people have been harassed, persecuted over the last 2,000 years.
I believe it's 3,000 years already.
Well, we're going back to the dawn of
3,000 years.
Dawn of Christianity, anyway.
Yeah, but even prior to that,
Prior to
3,000 years.
From the time of Roman and Titus. That today, being a Jew, that we have survived all this, makes us an unusual nation.
Elie Wiesel is a Jew and lives in New York. I'd read and admired his novels and wanted to meet him.
That's a great story about the final tribunal, isn't it? About what they will say to you. You're not spiritual Moses, you're not spiritual other creatures. Just were you yourself?
Yes, they won't ask me was I Moses with Abraham, they will say, were you Josiah?
That's right.
Think about it. God decided for the first and last time to reveal himself at Sinai. For the first and only time he was going to speak to his human race. And you would expect then God to give you a lecture on theology at least. After all, it's his domain. Or on mysticism, he would explain to you the beginnings or the ends. He would tell you how he created the world, because it's not given in Scripture. Instead, what he did, he gave you all kinds of commands about human relations. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt honor your father. Why did he do that? It was so simple. But this is the lesson. God can take care of himself. But he had to give man is the dignity of man.
Christians can create beauty in paint or in sculpture, and Muslims in space and architecture. Where does the Jew create beauty?
In words, always in words. I believe in general that Judaism, the Jewish civilization, the Jewish tradition is filled with beauty. It is not only a system of morality, it's not only a set of ethical concepts, it's not only a series of historical events, it's not only a religion, it is also an aesthetical, compelling approach to life, full of beauty. And the beauty is in words. You know, I love music. Who doesn't? And I love the Gregorian chants. If I'm jealous of Christianity, I want you to know it's because of the Gregorian chants and Bach and Beethoven and the beautiful musical creations. But then I say to myself with typical Jewish arrogance that maybe their music, your music, is not really yours, it's mine, except you have taken it away from us.
Robert Brainin is one of the 4 Jewish musicians who make up the Amadeus String Quartet. I seem, when I talk to Jews or work with Jews, to find myself perpetually in the middle of an argument. Now, is it the chance that I'm picking argumentative Jews, or is there something about being a Jew which creates argument?
Well, I think that the Jews have know generally how to argue because they have been brought up to do so. The origin of this comes from the interpretation of the Holy Scriptures, which are always subject to discussion and eventually to argument if there is a difference of opinion. But the idea is that you strive for the truth.
Does this also apply to the way you make music?
Absolutely, yes. This is how we interpret music, interpret the score, how everybody interprets music.
But we assume that 4 men in your case come together, all agreeing on a passionate devotion to the notes in front of them. They're not arguing about whether this is worth playing, but how to play it. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, quite.
So the religious parallel would be that there is the Torah. There are these words, these marks on paper.
That's right.
The argument is about what God meant. He said something, what he meant.
Yes, precisely. There's no argument about that at all. I mean, the composer's intentions, like the text of the Bible, are sacrosanct.
Describe yourself not as an Orthodox Jew. You do see the Israel, the race, or not Israel, the group, as a group of priests. Is that right? On behalf of the rest of the world?
No, I don't see them as priests. I see them as unwilling instruments of God.
Chosen and maybe not wanting to be chosen.
They're chosen. I think they are chosen. The whole history, as it unfolds itself in front of our eyes, seems to bear that out. That they are chosen. In fact, what we are now, in my opinion, we are living through a period of we are witnessing a miracle. And the miracle is nothing less than the continued survival of the people of Israel.
And one day the policeman goes around his beat and he sees a young Yemenite sitting on top of an orange tree. Rosh Hashanah is surrounded by orange groves, sitting on top of an orange tree and picks oranges from the tree and eats them. And the policeman calls out to him, Haver, friend, doesn't it say in the Bible, thou shalt not steal? And the Yemenite looks down at him and says, well, what a wonderful country Israel is. You sit on top of a tree, you eat oranges, and you listen to quotations from the Bible.
When I think of Jerusalem, I think of strife. Christian against Muslim, against Jew, against Christian. By no stretch of the imagination can I make this holy city mean what it's supposed to mean, though I acknowledge others can.
In our tradition, of course, this is the holiest place in the world, the sanctuary of the sanctuaries. The ideal of all cities is Jerusalem, because it means peace, the city of peace. I think I knew Jerusalem before I knew my own town. So I lived in Jerusalem even before I came to Jerusalem. And when I came there for the first time, I had a feeling I had been there already before so many times. And conversely, whenever I go there now, it's though I had just come for the first time. It's the only place in the world.
While I was in Jerusalem, I was befriended by Dr. Pinchas Pelle, his wife and family. He's a sixth-generation native of Jerusalem and a sixth-generation rabbi. He wanted me to see the wall, the one remaining wall of the second Jewish temple, destroyed by the Romans nearly 2,000 years ago.
When you walk the streets of Jerusalem, when you come to the wall, you feel that you walk in the footsteps of prophets and kings and rabbis. But I believe that the wall is mostly looked as a place which is a reminder. Those stones perhaps listened to more Jewish wailing and prayer and hopes and aspirations than any other being, animate or inanimate. The feelings, the emotions, the hopes that were woven around those stones are certainly holy. Events are holy in Judaism.
But if you don't share the history, you can't feel the feelings. So where do you start? An ABC of Judaism was what I wanted.
You know, there's an old Jewish saying, wherever there are two Jews, there are three opinions. So you will have as many opinions about what Judaism is. I can give you my own. Judaism is a system of communication. A system of communication. Man is lonely in a chaotic world. You know, we come into the world, we don't know what to do, where to go. It's also chaotic and mixed up. And Judaism comes to give us, to chart for us, three ways of communication. The first one is Torah, the teaching. There's revelation. There's God searching for man and telling him what to do and instructing him where to go. This is from upside down. Then there is man's response to this. It's not enough for man to sit there passively and receive instruction. Man is not meant to be a Prussian soldier. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's not the way. We have to respond. Our response comes to worship. And that is another line of communication leading from down upside. Those are both vertical, but there is also an horizontal connection. The two will be worthless if there will be no connection between man and man. And this is love and kindness. So to me, Judaism, in this respect, is a system of communication which lets me communicate with the world, with the transcendental world, with the world next to me, with my fellow human beings. It teaches me how to go through life.
Pinchas Pelle is a modern-day Pharisee, a descendant of those whom the Christian Gospels criticize for their concern with inessentials. I realized I'd never before heard a Pharisee given a chance to put his point of view.
A Jew is required to pray 3 times a day. Nature changes, creation changes 3 times a day, according to the rabbis. At sunrise, noontime, and at night, when nature becomes very obvious to man. In order to pray in the morning, you also engage in certain symbolic actions which make you aware of the words. The first thing one does is to wrap himself in a talit, in a prayer shawl, which is a square piece of cloth with fringes on all 4 corners. We are people that entered into a covenant with God. The fringes are a reminder of that agreement. They usually have to have a blue stripe in them to remind oneself of the blue skies, which symbolizes the higher aspirations of man. Within the box, there are 4 compartments. Every compartment has a piece of parchment on which is written a passage from the Bible. Those passages include, number 1, that God is one. That's the basis of Jewish faith. The second piece of parchment includes the fact that man is free, the Exodus, coming out of slavery. The third declares that man's highest aspiration is to serve God. The fourth chapter is that man belongs to a people, to a group, and to a land where this act of serving God could be fulfilled. Now this is again a reminder which is tied to your arm, parallel to your heart. The heart is where the desires are, and we are showing that we are free people, but yet tied in, restricted in our desires and also in our action. The hand symbolizes the action. The strap is taken around your arm 7 times, which denotes the 7 days of the week, 7 days of creation. And the other tefillin shel rosh, tefillin on the head, comes to show us that we are restricted in our intellectual achievements. Then the strap goes down to your palm of your hand, and it goes 3 times around your finger. And every time you turn, you recite a verse from the book of Isaiah. I'll betroth you to me forever. I'll betroth you with righteousness, with justice, love, and compassion. I'll betroth you to me in faithfulness, and you shall love the Lord. Then you have kind of, between your finger and your hand and your arm, you have the name of God, the act of love between man and God, and the act of reverence and discipline. Those are the 3 elements which go into the tefillin. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וידורים אלה שאין לכם את צווך היום על אביך שנת מלך ודבר דבר מצטרזך ובדלל זובזך וסך וישרך ואנחנו ישלמו אבן ישראל מת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפיהם. Takes a lot to have the right intentions and to count the right number of straps around your hand, but afterwards it becomes a matter of habit. Like when you take driving lessons, in the beginning everything seems so strange, then you just get into the car and you move. The same thing goes on here.
Blindfolded and asked to guess where you are at the moment, you might say an auction or a Hebrew telephone exchange. As a matter of fact, it's morning prayer at a yeshiva, a seminary. This one is a transplant from New York, and many of the students are American.
Praying is not making ourselves audible, it's rather making ourselves attentive, listening. Jews became a chosen people because they responded. Perhaps everyone heard God calling, but it was Abraham, the first one, who said, "Here I am."
At a certain point in the service, there's a reading from the 5 books of Moses, the books of the law: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Collectively, the Torah, which is kept in a place they call the Ark.
The Torah, the rabbi says, is a letter written to every Jew by his Father in heaven. The closest image that one gets to God is his word, is his letter, the letter that he sent us. We can see him, but we can see his Torah. And that is why, on many occasions, the joy
of dancing and kissing may seem to an outsider as a mad event, but someone who feels that this is a letter from his father from whom he was exiled and cut off for many, many long months, it's very, very much in place.
Torah scrolls are always handwritten by a scribe. It can take one man a year or more to finish a single scroll.
All
the time I was in Jerusalem, and long before I got there, I had a tussle with the idea of the covenant, this special agreement between God and the Jews.
I gather that the Jews claim there was a contract made between them and God called a covenant.
Right.
Is that fair?
That's exactly right.
And it was made between them and God when?
Well, initially with Abraham, and then it was reconfirmed and expanded through the Exodus and at Sinai when the law was given.
The law, did God, according to the biblical claim, speak in words to somebody?
Well, it's a very great point. Nobody really knows what he said. Some people think he spoke, and some people think that he just sort of inspired Moses, and some people said he gave a tablet in place of speaking, and then Moses sort of took the rest down through inspiration. We don't know.
But out of whatever the mystery of the confrontation may have been, there emerged a sort of law.
That's right, the Torah, which is better perhaps translated as teaching than as law.
My teacher on that occasion was Stephen Katz. He's Associate Professor of Religion at Dartmouth College, New Hampshire.
We do feel that God knows what he's doing. His ways are not our ways, as it says in the Bible, and it's hard for us to put our finger on exactly what it all means, but we believe it does mean something.